One of the most exciting things about the internet and the change in the way people live is that it has allowed salespeople to sell high-ticket products and services from really anywhere in the world. And one of the coolest things about being a high-ticket closer is that you get leads fed to you, and ultimately the goal is to just consistently sell that high-ticket product or service over and over and over again. And there is an important process that any great high-ticket closer must follow. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to sell high-ticket products and services for closers. Check it out. Number one, research your prospects upfront. So even though closers typically have their calendars filled for them, it's important that even when you get someone on your calendar, that you do as much research as you can on that prospect before you get on the phone or on the Zoom meeting with them. This is really key because the more you can just demonstrate that you know who they are already, the more likely they are to just immediately feel at ease with talking to you. Because typically we're selling in a short window, we've got to get that trust. And one of the easiest ways to do that is by researching who you're actually talking to. Number two, use a script. There is nothing sloppier about a high-ticket closer than one who is not using a script. If you're just going willy-nilly all over the place, asking some questions, having a conversation, you're all over the place. You will not close deals. You must use a high caliber script that's going to get you through that conversation in an organized, tight fashion. Because even the best high-ticket closer without a script, even if they already have it mostly memorized, if you don't have that script in front of you, now you're going to be going way over in time. There's just going to be a lot of things that go wrong as a result of not having a script. So use a script. Number three, leverage video if at all possible. The data is unequivocal. If you are using video with your prospects where you're literally looking them eyeball to eyeball, you're much more likely to close that deal. A lot of high-ticket closers traditionally have just used the phone in order to make sales. And now there's nothing wrong with that. But if you can leverage video, you're immediately going to close a higher percentage of deals. Because just think about it. How much more of a relationship are you creating when you just add that visual dimension of someone that you can look in the eye when you're talking to them? Number four, get them talking. So one of the keys to being a high-ticket closer and selling high-ticket products and services is to get your prospect talking. So by using a script with specific questions that gets your prospect immediately emotionally involved in the conversation is going to be key. And so we use a process that ultimately starts with really high-level basic questions. And as the script goes deeper, we go deeper into the conversation. Number five, dig deep. So one of the biggest differences between average closers and the truly great high-ticket closers is the ability to dig deep into the prospect's world. So the average rep will, they ask the questions, but as soon as the prospect answers some basic answer for that question, they move on to the next. So it's almost like there's a checkbox. But great closers dig really, really deep. Because again, remember, you're going to be asking this person to make a serious investment in their life or business. So in order to do that, you must understand what's really going on. So we've got to think like a detective who really wants to understand the core problem. Dig deeply with spontaneous questions like, well, help me understand why you say that, or what are you seeing there, or why do you think that is, right? The deeper we go, the more we are likely to close that deal. Number six, disqualify. So this is a really important mindset shift. A lot of high-ticket salespeople are trying to basically qualify or almost pitch their prospects. But the reality is that this person came to you in one way or another. So we need to really have a process to A, determine if they're a fit, and B, in that process, create real value. And disqualification is absolutely the best way to do that. So our goal is not to convince them to do business with us. Instead, it's really trying to weed out whether they're actually a fit. Because the reality is even under the best of circumstances, if you're closing 50% of your deals, that means that 50% of those prospects are not a good fit. And we want to disqualify them as quickly as possible. So that way we focus all of our time on the people who are a fit. Number seven, get their drive. So this is part of the disqualification process that's so important and really separates the average high ticket sellers from the great is that great salespeople in this space are really good at getting the personal motivations. We call it your drive. So what is the real drive behind accomplishing whatever it is that they want to accomplish? What is the real personal agenda? What's the objective for them? What's in it for them if they can accomplish this? Because ultimately, these decisions are going to be made emotionally, not based on logic. So the more you understand that personal drive, the more likely they are to make a buying decision. Number 8, solve their challenges. Typically in a high ticket selling situation, you don't have a lot of time. So you need to ensure that in your presentation, you're focused only on the challenges that they mentioned. So you don't have to share everything that you do, all the stuff that you offer. Focus only on the stuff that is going to be most relevant to the challenges that they mentioned. So this really is like a cutting process in a lot of ways, where yes, you're going to have a relatively standardized presentation, I get that, but you want to be willing to skip certain parts that are irrelevant to the challenges that they mentioned. Don't feel like you have to present everything, just focus on the stuff that's most relevant to them. Number 9, keep the presentation short. This is so important in a high ticket selling situation, is that you do not need a long presentation. The sale is made in the disqualification phase of the conversation. So the presentation should be really, really short. In fact, short to the point of it's almost too short, and it's actually going to pique their interest. And ultimately, we let their questions drive the rest of that presentation. Number 10, let their questions drive the rest. I already gave you a sneak peek of this, but by keeping the presentation really short, now what we want to do is let their questions really drive the rest of the entire conversation. So by prompting them to just ask questions, what questions do you have for me about the program? Let their questions drive everything else, because that's going to take you where they most care. And of course, that doesn't mean that you're just going to be immediately answering all of those questions, because now you're going to be responding to those questions with questions. That's another conversation, but let their questions drive the rest of that presentation. Number 11, hold your ground. One of the keys to being a high ticket closer is that you have to be strong in your process, because if you let the prospect dictate the process, you're not going to close deals. You must have a rock solid process, and you must be committed to holding your ground at all costs, because that's ultimately going to make you more sales over the course of the long run. If you are just catering to any whim that the prospect has, you are not going to make these sales. These are not easy sales to make, but if using the right process and holding your ground, you can close these deals. And what's amazing is that you can make so much money as a high ticket closer. So there is how to sell high ticket products and services for closers. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an amazing free training on the step-by-step formula to closing more deals. Just click right here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here. This is an in-depth training that will help you close more deals at higher prices, all while generating more meetings. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe by clicking my face, which should be right about here, to get access to a new video just like this one each week.